Chapter 4, Part 1 of the notes, we will talk about the methods of natural selection. The first part of natural selection is the idea of adaptation. Adaptation is a trait that a species has that allows it to survive in its environment. This can be viewed in two different ways. When an individual organism changes to respond to the pressures of its environment, we call that acclimation. But when an entire species changes over time due to an adaptation or a change, that we call natural selection. This allows the species to live more successfully in its environment and possibly outcompete other species. Natural selection comes with 3 steps. The first step is that an individual has a trait that gives it an advantage over the other individuals in their population. That individual then reproduces more and therefore passes the trait on to more individuals in the next generation. That's step 2. Finally, in step 3, the trait becomes more common as it is present in more and more offspring after each generation. The population will begin to change over time to reflect that specific trait. Sometimes these traits arise because populations become geographically isolated, which means that there's some type of geographic boundary between a population. The end result is that this population can possibly turn into a new species, what we call speciation. Limiting factors are often what cause population adaptations and natural selection. Limiting or critical factors are a single factor that is in the shortest supply relative to its demand. It also includes factors that might be outside of the organism's tolerance limit. A tolerance limit is the environmental minimum and maximum that a species requires to survive. The tolerance limit goes into 3 sections: the optimal zone, which is best available for the species, the zone of stress, and then the zone of intolerance, where a species cannot live. A habitat is where an organism lives. Organisms that only live in one area are considered to be endemic. However, a niche is a role that the organism plays in that habitat. Many organisms can live in a habitat, but due to the competitive exclusion principle, no 2 species can occupy the same niche for an extended amount of time. If they do, competition will eliminate one of the species from the environment. Resource partitioning can help with this. If 2 organisms occupy the same niche, they could choose to share the resource by utilizing it at different times of the day or different areas of the resource. That way they can coexist in a single habitat.